One Punch Man webcomic chapter 118. So like after 3 months we finally got this chapter and I kind of have mixed emotions on it. I mean, I'm very pleased with it, but at the same time it's, kind of anticlimactic. We were all looking forward to a certain event to go down, but in spite of all of that, we got a whole bunch of new info and a whole bunch of reveals and stuff, which I can't talk about everything in this video because it would wind up being like 45 minutes long. So I'm going to have to spread out the discussions to multiple videos throughout the week. But of course, I'll keep them interesting because I think it is. I mean, we're finally getting a whole bunch of new info on this stuff. But first of all, the strongest ninja in history, aka he, who shall not be named, I guess we'll call him, because he looks similar to Voldemort, and they kind of refer to him in like the same way. So in typical One fashion, we got a whole bunch of answers to the questions that we had about this guy, but then that in turn created more questions, and man, there's so much to speculate about this guy, but at least we know right now that, yeah, he did in fact create the Ninja Village, but he didn't retire after that, and we don't really have a good explanation as to why he made the Ninja Village. I guess he just wanted to, because I guess he wanted to make other assassins or something. Maybe he just wanted to make an army or something like that. But he continued afterwards, and he just took out a whole bunch of important people throughout history. And then they say, like, it was a part of his job. So I guess he was just getting hired. Like, he was just getting paid to take out people. I guess that's how he made money. I mean, he could have just stole it or whatever. But also, apparently, this guy has killed, like, over 100,000 people, which is pretty crazy. And you'd think, well, man, it must take a long time to rack up that number. Well, it does, because apparently this guy is, I guess, over 300 years old. Now, that's pretty interesting. I don't think we've been introduced to any, like, humanoid characters that have lived that long. Now, it's kind of implied that monsters are pretty old. Now, we never really get, like, a good explanation on it. I guess Deep Sea King, he was probably really old, and the Subterraneans are probably really old, considering that we see, like, the monuments and the Monster Association, everything that they built, and, the murals of him and Elder Centipede, who is, Elder, after all. So those type of monsters who are, like, inherently monsters, they're probably really old. And also, like, the Ancient King, he goes back to, like, the dinosaur time, but then his canon is really debatable. I made a whole entire video dedicated to that guy. So I'm assuming that this guy might be like some kind of inherent monster race. And the only thing that I'm really thinking of is maybe he's a vampire. Similar to how we saw Pureblood. Now, Pureblood, at least in the webcomic, never outright says that he's a vampire. Like, his Chiron says vampire and then in parenthesis Pureblood. But he just says that, like, he's a pure, like, a real monster race that, like, has a lineage to it. Now, the aesthetics between the Ninja Leader and Pureblood are kind of similar. Although, like, we're dealing with, like, a huge gap in time between those chapters being released. And one's art style has obviously greatly increased since then. So it's, like, hard to say if he exactly looks like Pureblood. But their eyes are kind of similar, just more detailed at this point. So it could be possible that there's a relation between those two characters, and they do kind of have, like, the sharp, pointy teeth. But also the whole thing about how, he'll take their blood and innards away, and then it says the only thing we can think of is, and then they just cut away from them. But also the whole thing about him having different skin colors and multiple heartbeats, I don't know what that means. Is he like some kind of chimera, or is he some kind of, like, Frankenstein being? I mean, there's obviously something special to him. I originally thought that maybe he was like a human monster hybrid pseudo thing, kind of like how Garo was. Maybe he just became so powerful that he started creeping into that monster territory. Didn't exactly become a full-blown monster. Man, like I said, there's too many questions with this guy. But anyway, the character that's dropping all of this exposition on him is actually Gale. That's the webcomic version of Gale Wind. And it makes you, like, think about how is this all going to tie in once the manga gets to this point. Because obviously, we saw that Hellfire and Gale came back to life in the manga. And we were, like, wondering, like, why did they have to come back to life? What's the future of them in the story? And well, apparently, it's going to be this. It's going to be this ninja arc. And I guess they're going to just die again, which would kind of suck since, they all came back to life only to die again. But also, like, they have their monster. Well, that's the question. Do they still have their monster forms? Are they going to use their monster forms once the the manga gets to this portion, or is everything even going to play out similar? I assume it probably will, meaning that unfortunately this guy is going to get taken out by Saitama again. And let's just touch on that real quick, because that was what I was talking about being anticlimactic. I really wanted to see this guy fight Flashy Flash and Sonic, but I understand, you know, this is a part of the story. It's, you know, it's just us to be built up on things, and then just for them to get taken out by Saitama in like a single strike. It's the foundation of this story, and sometimes it just kind of happens when we get a little too comfortable with things, and then one kind of just throws us a curveball, and it's fine. You know, the same thing happened with Goketsu, but at least with Goketsu we got to see him do some stuff. But this guy, we just get a whole bunch of hype on him. So maybe this is like hilarious to one. Maybe he thought this was really funny, building this guy up only for him to just get off-screen by Saitama. And like, again, I get it, but at the same time, it would have just been nice to see like another like possibly above Dragon guy get his hands dirty. But I guess that wasn't his purpose in the story. His purpose was obviously just to give Sonic and Flashy Flash power-ups. I guess because he had 2 legendary demon blades, and Flashy Flash is obviously getting one of them, but then we don't see if Sonic gets the other one. So I wonder if Sonic was the recipient of the other one, or at least maybe Sonic's getting the special shurikens, or maybe they just divvied them all out and they're each getting a little bit of both, as well as like the scrolls, because they mentioned the scrolls for a reason, having some super killer ninja techniques written on them. So maybe Sonic and Flashy Flash are just going to learn new stuff. And then that also is like, okay, are they going to be prevalent in this big arc that's coming up? Whatever it's going to be. I assume it was going to be the Neo Heroes, but now I really have no idea where the story is headed, because technically we should be in the Neo Heroes arc now, but it kind of just diverged away from all of that, going into this ninja arc, which is wrapping up right now. This is definitely the end of the little mini ninja arc that we're getting here, which is fine, which really ended in the result of Flashy Flash and Sonic getting character arcs and buffs to them, which is pretty cool. But then we're going to a huge bombshell in this chapter, probably the most interesting part to me, and that is friggin' Blast. So Sonic, of all people, knows Blast and kind of met him once. So we're finding out that Blast showed up back at the Ninja Village before Flashy Flash decided to take them all out. And he just committed like a little mini genocide on the friggin' Ninja Village. And I like the way that it's stated, like, he did not spare any of us orphans. So he was just straight up killing, I guess, kids. Blast doesn't care. This is pretty interesting, because we really didn't understand like the morality of Blast up to this point. The most that we ever got was like, don't rely on others to come help you, like what he said to Tatsumaki. But now it's like, I guess Blast will just straight up kill younglings if need be. Now, why did Blast come here? Well, obviously probably because of the connection between the ninja leader and the village, because we know that Blast obviously fought the ninja village before this and defeated him, and then probably was like, well, I gotta take all these guys out because they're all gonna just become psycho crazy powerful like him, so I just gotta nip it in the bud. So maybe that's giving us more insight into, like, Blast is like probably similar to like Amai Mask and like the absolute justice demeanor that he has. Maybe it's something like that, where it's like he just doesn't mess around. Like, he is a good guy and he will help people, but he'll just, if he has to kill kids to get the job done, he'll friggin' do it. So now let's get into the end of this chapter, which is also another huge reveal, because we're finally continuing Amai Mask storyline that was set up back in chapter 97. So apparently Amai Mask is trying to set up like this training project, and obviously the subject of it is none other than Saitama. So I wouldn't get too excited about this, even though I'm not sure what the reaction to this is going to be, because some people might think that the story is like progressing to the point of where everybody's going to find out the truth about Saitama, and I don't think that's the case here. Obviously, because some of them, well, we already see the seeds of doubt starting with the executives from the Hero Association here, because they're like, although the physical tests results were all off the chart, his activities haven't gained much attention. So they're still in doubt about Saitama, and I'm sure that's going to be part of the course for wherever this little storyline is headed. So Amai Mask says, let us begin the Supreme Hero production project with Saitama on the projector in the background. So I guess this just means that he's going to try to develop Saitama into like a mascot or something, or just try to use the association's resources and funds to improve Saitama in every way as possible, because back in chapter 97 he saw Saitama as like having true beauty, and obviously he was one of the people that witnessed Saitama take out Awakened Garo for the most part. So I guess he's going to try to, I don't know, make him like the new #1 hero or something like that. Now, it's just like a training project, as they keep saying. So maybe it's not that big of a deal, but he is trying to do something with Saitama, obviously. Now, the importance of it is probably big, considering that the people that we're seeing here are probably the executives of the Hero Association. Now, I'm not exactly sure if that is the case, because we don't see like those old dudes, but one of the people that we do see is the quote-unquote bispectacled worker. He is like the partner of the bearded worker, which is interesting. So that could also lead us to two things here. So first of all, that could lead us to the bearded worker and the beginning of him probably being revealed as Blast, but it can also set up bearded worker's attention being drawn to Saitama, which could lead us to the inevitable Blast versus Saitama thing that we all assume is going to happen. Because there's one thing that I'm pretty confident about, and I'm sure most of you are too, and that is Blast is going to be revealed sooner or later. I mean, Blast has been just shown so much in the last couple chapters of the webcomic, more than he ever has. He keeps being mentioned. More and more info is being dropped on him, so he's got to be coming back into the story very soon. And I'm like so sure that he is the bearded worker at this point. So given that Amai Mask is showing this to everyone, I think this is probably setting up, or at least planting the seed of the bearded worker having a reason to have, or just Blast having a reason to have beef with Saitama for some reason. Or I think this is that. Now, I could be wrong, of course, but man, it just really seems like everything is connecting, and basically just my evidence is the bispectacled worker. I mean, he's obviously shown specifically in this And now that we know that Blast kind of has a dark side, you know, there's probably more of a reason for Saitama to actively try to take him on, or vice versa. But I won't ramble on anymore. Like I said, there's so much to talk about that I want to go more in depth into dedicated videos to those topics, such as Blast and the Ninja Leader and Sonic and Flashy Flash and everything else that I think is going to happen after this point. But let me know what you thought about this chapter. I really enjoyed this, despite it being kind of anticlimactic, but let me know what you thought about it. And if you like the review, guys, please give it a like. I also have a Patreon. It gives you access to a weekly Q&A. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next